I dunked Noah's 3-year-old head under the clean water to rinse the soap. As he popped up, he sputtered, clearing his mouth. "Tell me the 3 little pigs again." I obliged, as I had dozens of times before. Noah chimed in at the wolf's iconic refrain. I huffed and I puffed and I blew the house in. Noah didn't just say the words either. He sucked in big drafts of huffy-puffy air, and he blew out his huffy-puffy, water-wet, house-blowing breath at imaginary homes of straw, twigs, and bricks. We laughed and laughed. Months later, I stumbled upon a new book at the library that I thought my 3 little pigs-obsessed child would enjoy. It was called The True Story of the 3 Little Pigs by John Sheska. We plunked down on the couch together, and I read it aloud. Noah's eyes widened with delight. The wolf's perspective! This pitiable wolf simply wanted to borrow a cup of sugar from his neighbors, the pigs, in order to bake his grandmother a birthday cake. I mean, what a nice guy! Poor Mr. Wolf suffered from a terrible cold. His sneezes toppled the first 2 houses, inadvertently killing the pigs who lived in them. The prudent wolf couldn't bear to allow all that ham to go to waste, so he ate the swine. By the time the wolf arrived at the brick house, the 3rd little pig had reported the wolf to the police for the wolf's misdeeds. Mr. Wolf was wrongly convicted of his crimes and sent to prison for 10 millennia. The wolf declared the injustice of his situation from his jail cell in a final plea to the reader. That's it. That's the real story. I was framed. Noah quickly became obsessed with the new book. It wasn't that he thought that the book, in fact, told the true story of the 3 little pigs. It was that by reading the wolf's version of the fairy tale, Noah became aware that there might even be another perspective. Noah's ability to be suspicious of the wolf's account was intuitive, and part of what made reading the book so delightful. Until that moment, Noah had aligned automatically with the omniscient narrators in all fairy tales. There had never been a reason to question the truth value of any story until he heard from the wolf. Noah had unwittingly stumbled onto the literary device known as the unreliable narrator. An unreliable narrator is the original, not self-aware thinker. The defensive, self-interested manner in which the wolf told his story is a dead giveaway to readers that the wolf is not using his own critical thinking faculties. Instead, he showcases a self-serving defense to disguise his misdeeds, obscuring the facts and reframing them to suit his declaration of innocence. The wolf, as unreliable narrator, was Noah's first brush with examining the viewpoint of any story we read. Sheska plays up the wolf's woe is me story with humor. Readers feel the absurdity. But how do we know that we are, in fact, reading an unreliable narrator's perspective? What makes the wolf's narcissistic point of view obvious to us, the readers? We've arrived at the fundamental question in learning. How do we know which source of authority to trust? Which perspectives of historical events, for instance, are accurate? How do we recognize a conspiracy theorist versus a whistleblower? How do we vet our elected officials for truth-telling versus egocentric lying? Which scientific theories are reliable? Which are a sham? What mathematical process is the right one to use in a given context? Which novels ought to be canon? How do we determine which books to retire from classic status?